Under Siege. Guys, I'm going to say this right now. I'm getting rid of the criticism right now. It may take me a minute or two to explain my reasons. And I'm not going to put anything here for you to skip it. You need to see it. You got to understand, because I'm sure there's going to be many people that's going to love what they saw in Under Siege. And you see from the title, I'm going to be telling you the truth. It surprised me. But there's a major glaring weakness in production. You're going to see it. And if it's about a minute or two to talk about it, I'm going to do it now, because the rest of the show is generally going to be about what was positive about it. The major problem, camera. Out of 10 matches, 10. Guess how many you couldn't see very well at all? 4. And the rest were either so-so, and the last 2 to 3 matches where you could see normally. You're seeing what I recorded or got shots of. These are shots that have not been picked out and been like the special one. These are what was all in your face. And if I'm right, I've gone through them all. And here's one of the culprits. I'm zooming into one of the cameramen. And I think I got another shot of the other cameraman. I'm zooming into him as well, if I do. It might be the same one. That's if I got both of them. But I'm going to tell you the truth now. It was ridiculously stupid. I don't know why they do it. I'm blaming production as well as the cameramen. Fire them. They got the money. Fire the production men. Or women. I don't care. Fire the cameramen. Fire who was running I cannot believe how bad it was. The overhead cam and the 2 cameramen, and to a certain extent the hard cam. It was stupid. 4 matches shouldn't be unwatchable. They shouldn't be. Now, that's about 2 minutes. Let's move on to the actual show, shall we? Let's move on to what we got. Now, you will hear what was positive about the show and what needed work. First match is the kickoff matches, 2 of them. The first one is the Death Dolls versus the Coven for the Knockouts Tag Championship. We got Courtney Rush with the Jessica versus the Coven. Now, let's make this clear. When we saw iMpact, they didn't cheer very loudly for her. Even though, and I do agree with Jesse, they didn't cheer very loud for her. They should have. They sounded pretty dead. And also one of the people who commented in my video also said the same thing, I think. At least one person. So, here they cheered a lot more. Since they were in London, Ontario, Canada. Surprisingly, they called themselves London, Ontario, Canada. But that's each his own. They wanted to feel like they were in England. They did London. Anyway. It was not about the match itself, guys. It was not a number 1 contendership. It was a Knockouts tag match to try and build up into number 1 contender. If I did say it was number 1, it was a title shot. I'm sorry, just in case I might have forgotten while I'm trying to explain this. If I said it was a actual title shot, it wasn't. It was a number 1, not a number 1 contender. It was a non-title. Now, was it good to see Courtney? I got to get used to hearing Rosemary's Courtney Rush. I got to get used to it. It is a nice, refreshing change for her. She's been doing the same thing, as I said in my review, for 7 straight years. She wanted to change it up. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with changing up your persona. And that's what this was all about. To build up Death Dolls as the new persona to go after the Coven. Nothing wrong with it. And the Coven lost, which I'm not surprised. Everyone did like seeing Courtney, so there's no problem with that. Let's move on to the match that I was very worried about. Joe Hendry. I still gotta do that? I'm sorry, I keep thinking he's gonna pop behind my back. And I'm gonna go, get out of here, you bitch. But, Joe Hendry versus a Dango, or Dirty Dango. After his promo, that was so rare to see a talent, a wrestler, to talk like that in Impact Wrestling. Yeah, we had the 3-part documentary of Kaz. That's not the same as Dirty Dango. He's a heel. Flat out is what we got. And I was worried they were going to make him job here. I was not sure if they're going to let him win the damn title. I was not sure if they're going to win the Digital Media Championship. he came out looking like a MMA wrestler. Well, MMA fighter more than a wrestler, wearing gray boots, wearing trunks that looked like Brock Lesnar that had the Attitude Era on it. And it did fit his character. And I want to make this clear. Dirty Dango, not the greatest wrestler. He's okay in the ring. But this wasn't about his okayness. This was about his persona, his character. He was going after Henry. He could not beat him. So at one point, when Henry seemed to got him in an advantage after doing maybe 3 or 4, well, he was doing those sit-up, no, not sit-up, the squat suplex. He can barely do it. I don't know why he keeps doing that. I think one of these days he's going to blow out his knee because he doesn't look like he's strong enough to do something like that with a heavier wrestler. He was going like this. You could see him just shaking. And I wish he wouldn't do that. But he did, and eventually it reached the point where Dango had to make a choice of losing or getting what he really want. Got that damn nut shot, and I got that shot. Barely. I barely got that shot. That was one of the shots I can honestly say I was lucky to get because how bad the camera was. But I got it. You can see Dango did not care. He wanted to make a point that he didn't care about the guys in the back. He's doing this because he's a star. And it's nice to see a difference with a guy who's always known as a comedian in WWE. Johnny Curtis was never, as he was called then, ever really meant to be much. But when it came to him and Tyler Breeze and Breezango, they got over. Now he's beginning to redefine himself as a heel, a real one. And I think that makes him special. Yes, Santino Marella comes out, angry as hell. And he's mad because now he knows that the Dirty Dango had punched me in my face. I'm going to get him. Fine. 2 older style wrestlers. This would actually be interesting, seeing Santino going up against Dango. If Dango eventually gets the Digital Media Championship, I want there to be a title with these 2. Joe Henry can move on from it. I'm just saying. Now, main card. What do we really get between Nick Aldis and Kenny King with Shelton Jean by his side? Pretty much watching. Good match. I'm going to tell you this. You can say a lot about Kenny. He has not much charisma. He's not as great as he is. Many people have said that when it comes to Kenny King, he's really not that good. He's an okay X Division style wrestler, but he's not that great. You don't need to be great to get over. As I've said for years, it's about relevancy. You can be one of the greatest wrestlers in history, but eventually you need to get over past the moves you do in the ring. That's why Bryan Danielson got over so much in WWE as Daniel Bryan. It wasn't just because of his ring work. It was that he was able to transition going from not just wrestling, but was able to make a character people can really get involved with and really connect to. Did Kenny King do that? No. Let's make it clear, he didn't. But you can't say that Kenny can't get it done in the ring, and he doesn't have some level of charisma, some ring work, some mic skills. He does. He is here. Middle of the road. Sometimes he can go above. Most of the time, he always stays here. And there's nothing wrong with it, as long as you make it the best that you are. And that's what we got out of this match. In the end, I was not surprised that we got Nick Aldis winning. But here's where it gets interesting. Because right afterwards, and it's one of the few shots I got of them, you see Killer Kelly. And this is what Nick did when he came, once he got out of the ring and was going to the back. He's pointing. And I don't know if I got that shot, maybe. But you see Killer Kelly and Marsha Slamovich fighting in the stands and through the wrestling. What did I tell you? If anyone even watched my Impact Wrestling review, did anyone watch it? What did I say? It was going to be brutal. They are going to push themselves. And I know one of my subscribers asked, do you mind women bleeding? Of course I don't care. They can bleed all the hell they want. It just counts what happens afterwards. Because you can have the most brutal feud that can exist, but what happens afterwards? Because when it came to Killer Kelly, she didn't get very far dealing with Taylor Wilde. Marsha Slamovich, How far did she get? How far did she get? Not that far. She got to the main title scene, was a monster, and then just click, 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 click. Now she's at the level of Killer Kelly, and they stuck them together because they're both very hard wrestlers, and they think, well, let them just beat the hell out of each other, which that's what you got. They beat the shit out of each other, and you see Marsha Slamovich getting choked out by a chain by Killer Kelly. It's not over. I say either a Monsters Ball match or a Steel Cage match, maybe a Full Metal Mayhem match. One of them is going to happen with these two women. And they come bloody, I don't care. Because we had them before, I don't give a damn. Let's move on. Next match. What can I say with the design versus, and what did I say? Didn't I call it? Didn't I call who was going to show up? We got the design of all three of them with Rich, Sammy, and Jake Chris. I said it. I knew one of them was going to come. It had to happen. But here's where it gets interesting. The match became bloody. The first blood drawn in the match. First, you had, and I don't know how this happened, when Rich was going to go and looks like he was going to do a forward flip. Khan got him and looked like he over-rotated, hit his jaw flat out onto the ring skirt. His lip was busted wide open. He was bleeding already. Then eventually Jake got blooded in his, was his left ear. He started bleeding. I think hopefully he didn't have an inner ear blowout. Because the way he was bleeding, either his earlobe, which I got a long one. Many people said, dude, you got to get earrings. I said, no. I'm not like that. Unless I'm going to be a pirate. And I'm not going to be a pirate. Arr. Sorry, had to. But Jake, I think he tore his earlobe. He was just bleeding profusely. Good match. Not one of the greatest, but it was good. You can't say it was a bad match. And I'm not going to tell you it was bad. It wasn't. In the end, you did see Rich, Jake, and Sammy win. But the thing that was really interesting was that when you see the ref, she is trying to get them out of there as quickly as possible because of all the blood that was being shown, I think. Either Jake was really hurt and they really wanted him to get back, or they just wanted to move on as quickly as possible because the card was so stacked. And that was pretty much the last match that the camera work was really bad. Because you could still see to a certain extent in the ring, but you saw a lot of this, guys. It was just, I had to say it because I got to explain, even though the match was good, it was hard to see it. This is when the matches became so-so when you could see the camera, because that's when it was beginning to get better. And that was Gazelle Shaw versus Trinity. I was so scared. I was scared that the camera was going to be there. I have to mention it. But in the beginning, it wasn't that good. And as the match went to about halfway is when the camera work began to get way better. I'm not saying it was perfect, but at least it was better that you could see what's in the ring. Trin pretty much had 3-on-1. She was dealing with Vidal, she was dealing with Savannah Evans, and Gazelle Shaw. I gotta tell you this. If anyone believes that Trinity has not improved her style, watch this match when you could see what's in the ring. Because I am telling you right now, she has improved her style. You could see she's doing things that she would have never done in WWE. There were several moves that she did that she would have never done. Honestly. Probably due to the fact that she knew it was not going to lead to anything or give her any enrichment because of how things were. And you know what she spoke about on Busted Open. You can see she's happy. Legitimately, being in a smaller company like Impact Wrestling, even though she'll never be in a huge venue like she was with WWE, going to 60, 70, or 80,000, 100,000 people, being in a WrestleMania, she's never going to have that if she stays in Impact for a long period of time. The most she'll have between 6 to 10 or maybe 20,000 people if they're lucky to get it that high. If they do. Now, I know they are going to Australia, And hopefully that we'll get a big venue there and get a lot more people than they normally would in the States. But normally, in the States, she's not going to get it more than maybe, luckily, 10 to 20,000 if she can. So, she doesn't care. She's enjoying what she's doing. You can see from just her ring work, in the end, she won by doing a submission on the Gazelle Shaw. She subbed her ass. And ain't nothing wrong with that. That shows that she's improved. And I'm happy about it. For me personally, I've said this years ago that Trin should have left. I saw it coming. I knew eventually she needed to leave, and now she's done it, and I'm just happy. I'm glad for you, girl. I'm so happy. As one of the people who's watched you for years and has reviewed you for years, whenever I could see you, I'm just glad to see you being happy. Let's move on. ABC versus the subculture. Now, it's the first time, well, Andrews, I believe, I remember him. It's been many years. It's been 7 years since I last saw him. And I don't believe he was on the roster for very long. I don't remember how long he was. Maybe a year. Maybe a little more. Easily. It's been so long I forgot all about him. But now he's with a partner. And then you have Den Nova. I believe her name is Den Nova. Seeing them there and how well they worked, I wish they would sign them. I really hope they sign Subculture for at least 6 to 9 months. I'm hoping that iMpact will sign them. I'm sure someone's going to say, dude, they signed them. They're part of it. Or they'll say, I don't know, but you can see them other promotions. Here's the promotion. I don't care about other promotions. I'm telling you right now. I'm saying it now. Listen to my words. It matters more at that promotion they've just been seen than if I can see them in other promotions, but I want to see more of their work. I don't give a fuck about the other promotions. They could have been on NWA, they could have been on DDT, they could have been on New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Japan Pro Wrestling. They could have been anywhere else, but I don't give a fuck. I'm reviewing this show with these guys for the first time that hopefully they'll be signed, or at least they'll come back more than once. That's what we care about. Not about how great they are in other promotions. Here. And if they're not signed due to the fact that either their contracts in other places don't allow it, or which is more likely, iMpact did not sign them but just paid them to come in to do maybe a few tapings, that's iMpact's fault, not Subculture. Unless Subculture realizes they're not going to get anything with iMpact Wrestling and they don't want to break the contract with the other place to sign there. Now, mind you, maybe they have. Well, you can tell me. But the match was very good. Damn good. It was one of the more highlighted matches. Actually, was better than the 6-man tag. Let's make it clear. This was better than the 6-man tag. Whether you can see all of the match or not, it was better. Way better. In the end, ABC won. And I'm not surprised. But the question now is, will Subculture stay? Please. Please stay. I actually saw the interview what they had and with the helping hands, and literally, when you look at Dana Nova, I'm like, I want to see her in the Knockouts division. I want to see her work. I want to see her work. I'm just saying. Next, we get the X Division title match between Trey and Chris Sabin. Let's make this clear. Trey Miguel is doing the best work he's ever done. Flat out. He's always been a good worker. No one can take anything from him. And I do believe it was Jesse. He said he's like a younger Ricochet. No, he's not. He's better than Ricochet with only one understanding, that when you watch this match, you will know the difference between a Ricochet and a Trey Miguel. 100% you'll see the difference. You know why? Because Trey understood what I've been telling people for years. When it comes to high-flying wrestlers, they do not understand psychology. When you watch this match, in the opening of the match, you see Trey screwing with Chris Sabin, not getting to the ring immediately. He walks around the ring, messes with the crowd, messes with Trey, taking his time, doing stretches. As stupid as people think it is, psychology of a match to get people invested in you, it is way more important than anything else that you do in that damn ring. You can set up a classic in the ring, but sometimes that classic is not enough if you don't have any character or charisma or anything else to go with it. And Trey got that in spades. He literally took his time. Took more than a few minutes in the beginning of the match to play to the crowd, piss them off. Make it about Sabin, about his chance to get the X Division title for the 9th time. That is what makes a wrestling match. Making sure that your opponent, if they're important, get them fucking over. And once that was done enough, we got the match. At one point during that match, I can't remember what the move was, Trey decided to kick Sabin out of the ring. Part of the way, he got hung up in the ring, the ring ropes. He jumps out, flips back, grabs, and then DDTs him. That's a move that I have to say is very new and was nice. I am not a high-flying wrestling fan, but I do love Trey, and he knows when it's time to do certain things. And he did. But guess what? We didn't get a regular win. Nope. Trey decided, and I'm sure not everyone's going to agree with it, to cheat. He sprays in the eyes he already raked the eyes of Chris Sabin, which made Chris go blind and he couldn't see who was grabbed the ref. Then the ref got hit by accident. The match wasn't stopped. Then Trey, after Sabin got his bearings, sprayed him in the eyes, then he got the pin. No problem. And Trey's respect, he can get it done in the ring, but when he feels like it's time to cheat, he's going to cheat. Now, I don't always agree with that, but in this situation, it's part of Trey's charisma. It's part of who he is. Yes, and when he got in feud with Gia, let me give it to you like this. Do I believe the feud is over? No. And actually, it's a good thing, because Trey's had nothing to do. Even though he's done great matches where he's been showing more and more of his attitude and charisma, he needed a challenger that's going to fuck with him long enough that eventually, and if I'm right, eventually where he's going to be finally make it to maybe Slammiversary, where he'll get the shot to go after the world title. That's what I'm hoping for. If he holds on to that title, that's what I'm hoping for. Let's move on. Now, let's flip over. I got a lot of notes, boys. I got a lot of notes here. Hold on, boys and girls. We got the 6-way number 1 contendership. Uemura, Shelley, you got Moose, you got Eddie Edwards, you got Kaz, and you had, who was the last one? Jonathan Gresham, my favorite. I don't know what, there's something about Jonathan Gresham that when I look at him, I see champion. Not just an X Division champion. I could see him being a world champion. But as it stands, he really hasn't gotten very far. And that's what I'm worried about. I am hoping beyond hope they're not going to fuck him over and not really go anywhere with him. Because I truly believe that he can easily be an X Division champion. He can easily be a world champion. I'm hoping they don't just throw the Digital Media Championship on him and he's not going to do anything. I truly believe he can go for either titles. He's that good with a good amount of charisma. Match was good. Camera work was fine at this point. They didn't zoom in so much like this. But, the camera work was good. It was actually more than acceptable to see how Jonathan was working in the ring, how Moose was going. Uemura was really, really showing how good of a wrestler he is. The question is, what is his charisma? That's always been a major problem for Japanese wrestlers. And sometimes Spanish or lucha wrestlers. They never can show their personality correctly because of the language barrier. They'd always got someone to be a translator for them if they don't speak English. They may speak some level of English, but maybe they're not comfortable speaking American English and doing promos because it may be broken English and not all the time to get over that way. So when it comes to Uemura, he's barely talked at all. And that's going to be a major issue sooner or later. If he wants to break into the American market, it's hard. It's one of the sad things about when it comes to wrestlers that are from another country. But this was a damn good match. I expected Moose to win maybe, and I expected maybe Eddie to win, or maybe Kaz. I did not think Alex Shelley was going to win, and that makes me happy. Another shot for Alex Shelley, who I said when he was dealing with Josh Alexander, why not throw it on him? Someone that has never won the title, who has been there from the beginning, who is literally an OG of the damn company when they still had the NWA World Heavyweight Championship instead of the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. He was there. I would have loved to see him win then, but he's getting another shot against, now, Macklin. I'm not going to hide it. We already know who won. Now, the second best match of the night. Let's make this clear. This was the second best match of the night. And you know me, I love Trin. Trin's match was really good. For what I could see of it, it was really good. She was 3-on-1, even though it was supposed to be a 1-on-1. She did great. But there's no way her match was going to equal this one. Jordynne Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo. There's just no way. There was no way. This was the second best match of the night. But as a actual wrestling match, it was the best match of the night. But for the drama, it was second best. Second best. We already know the story. Grace has gone up against Deonna 3 times. She's never beat her. So this was the last shot she was going to get. After this, she would not get another title shot ever as long as Deonna was holding the title. It would never happen. When Deonna either leaves the company or gets beat, then Grace can start going after that title again. So this was it. And this match was that damn good. It was. If anyone wants to see what a real woman's match is like, better than WWE's been putting on lately, this is it. This was a hard-hitting match. It was a very technical match. You got strength versus technician. You can see that Jordynne Grace wanted to make it very clear, I am not losing to you again. I'm going to use everything I got. And she just tried to pound the living crap out of Deonna to get her to give in. And Deonna, for her credit, used power right back, even though she's maybe, this is Jordynne Grace's power. This is Deanna's power. Grace, Deonna. She's not that strong. But you know what the strangest thing was? They're both 5'3". I always thought they were both maybe 5'5", 5'6". They're both 5'3". And we're talking about a 5'3" powerhouse in a Jordynne Grace, who literally can bench press almost 400 pounds. Oh, I don't want to get that woman mad. But this was such a great match. In the end, Deonna won. And I'm not surprised. At this point, when we don't really have Mickie James back yet. She has not recovered yet. And maybe she's taking time off on top of it. I think eventually Mickie and Deonna will have their match. They're going to have it. A rematch, but this time, Mickie either will turn heel, which I don't think she will, but she could turn heel, and Deonna will be a face. I think that's what might happen. Or they will be both faces. You never know. That's just me. Final match of the night. No DQ, PCO versus Macklin. Now, after I saw this match, I'm going like, there's no way they could top it. I'm sorry. The ladies killed it. That was a banger, man. I don't usually say that type of word. That one, that was fire. But when you see this match, a no DQ match, it was like someone decided, you know what we're going to do? People just don't think Impact Plus shows mean anything. They don't really feel like anything. Let's do something a little different. Let's harness our inner GCW. Yes, I said Game Changer Wrestling. I don't watch it. I'm never going to watch it due to the fact that the last time I watched it, their production sucked. Flat out. Camera was worse than what we see here. Believe me, the last time I did check it, that's like about 8 months ago to 9 months ago. I did take a look at one of their shows. Briefly, I got pissed off because the camera work was like this. I'm sorry. I had to turn off my camera because focus wasn't working. Damn it. But they decided to harness their deep hardcoreness, and it became real. If you've seen a Nick Gage death match, they kind of did a little death match light. Because when you looked at one point when Macklin, and I do believe he actually got cut open when he dived out of the ring, PCO had that pan hit him in the head, the way that he took it, I think he legitimately got cut open across his forehead. He literally was bleeding very heavily from his forehead. I think he got cut wide open across here. I believe I got a shot. It's in my face. He was not just a crimson red. He was pouring crimson. Mayweather would get angry because his stick has just been taken because he was bleeding and sweating that bad. It didn't stop. I'm telling you right now, that didn't stop through the entire match once it happened. And it reached a point in that match that once PCO had been basically stopped and nailed, he got stapled. Now, mind you, when we see hardcore matches, when we see Monsters Ball matches, there's always a staple gun. Click, click, a staple. And normally there are no staples in it. Not this time. Guys, someone decided to do the real thing. Someone in the back said, you know what, if we're going to make this mean something, if we're going to make this that, this Impact Plus show is going to try and really drum up real interest because we're not going to fuck around, PCO is going to have to be, I think PCO was the one who came up with this idea and decided, let this actually happen. Real staples in my face. And I tried to catch it. I only caught one instance where he was pulling it out of his face with a pair of needle nose pliers. He got literally stapled in the face. I thought it was fake until literally after he nails Macklin on the ground, he goes under the ring, grabs the needle nose pliers, and legitimately starts pulling it out of his face. Now, if it was a normal stapler, I want to make this clear. The staple gun he used might have been modified because the way staple guns work, they go in and they curve like this. His was straight. So when he pulled out anything there, it came straight out like this. If it was like a real stapler, which curved in the staple, it would have pulled out his meat with it because it would have curved in his mouth. No, it was like this. The ends were open, so it would be easier for him to pull it out of his lips and his face. Guys, he literally let Macklin staple real staples into his face. Real, honest to goodness staples. And I went, okay, this is not bullshit anymore. Someone decided in the back, the brass in the back, to say that we need to change how Impact Wrestling is perceived. We need to do this. So this Impact Plus show must be different. And they did this. In the end, of course, Macklin won. But here's what gets interesting. Macklin calls out Scott. Scott comes out. As the original thing I said before, because in my Impact review, I kind of got a little confused because Macklin was not willing to do the way Scott wanted. Because Scott said, if you win the match, I will come out here, shake your hand, and put on your title. But Macklin said, no. You're going to come out here, you're going to put the strap on around my waist, and you're going to accept that I'm your boss now. So he called them out, said, come out here, like you said, put the strap on me, shake my hand, now. Scott comes out, throws his glasses away, throws his watch away, takes his mic off, and the receiver gets into the ring, puts it around his waist, tries to shake Macklin's hand. Macklin, no. He gets out of the ring and he makes it very clear, no. You're going to accept the fact that you're not the boss here. I am. And guess what happens? We get Bully Ray coming out of nowhere with a strap, a belt, starts choking a Scott, drops him to the floor. Macklin comes over to Bully and he says, I like your style, get the tables. And I'm going like, oh, they're going to put him through a table. Bring the tables in. Then you get lighter fluid. I'm going, okay, they're going to go there with the lighter fluid. You're going to have Scott go through lighter fluid and burn. Okay. As it's setting it up, you get PCO coming out. PCO, and this is what gets interesting. And I know I didn't mention anything about PCO getting nailed with the cinder blocks. And I didn't say anything about the maybe not concrete, but cement slabs. I'm saying it now because pretty much PCO during the match, he got the hammer to the back with those slabs. He got thrown onto the cinder blocks. And then again, after the match is over, as Macklin pulls another cinder block out, you see PCO get his head slammed into that again. This man literally went through hell to make this mean something. And then once a couple of people came out to try and save Scott, that was Motor City Machine Guns, didn't work. Light the fire, take Scott, splat, next to Matthew Rinwall, right when Scott got nailed, coming in to try and stop it. No one else came out. He was laid out, and as you see from the thumbnail, and you see it, it's the same as this, right here. This image of Bully Ray saying clearly, I'm never going anywhere. You hired me, but now I'm not going anywhere. I'm never leaving here. I'm going to destroy this company. I'm going to destroy you. That's how we ended. This was a very rare occurrence from Impact Wrestling. That, yes, I have to say the truth. Camera sucked for 4 freaking matches, and the remaining 6 was spotty, at least for the 2 or 3 of them, until the camera work was fine. They need to address this shit. Flat out, this is bullshit. They need to stop this. Whoever is running production and telling these cameramen to keep zooming in, they need to get their faces slapped and be told, stop it or you're fired. They need to stop it because it is screwing up the product. People at home doesn't want to see people's backs and their asses like you saw in the opening of this video. I showed you what I had to show you. They need to stop. But at this point, that they're willing to go this all out in one of their Impact Plus shows, which they normally don't. We got an interesting situation with Impact. Are they really trying to surprise people to make them really look at them and make them see them as legitimate again? Contenders to try and not just be a distant third to WWE, AEW's here, and Impact here. They want to bring it up. They want to be third and try to be at least equal to AEW. No, there won't be no Monday Night Wars or anything. This is about making companies mean something. I don't know. Hopefully it'll work. Maybe people will start watching Impact more. Jesse started, and I think Jesse's going to love this show. He's going to be shocked that PCO got stapled in the mouth and in his face. Here, 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 here. I am telling you, he used real staples. You got to watch it. If you got Impact Plus, watch it. If you can get in a fight, get it. But I'm telling you, this was different. And it's just me. And I hope you enjoyed this Under Siege 2023 review. Please give me a comment below. I will be doing Night of Champions tomorrow. If I don't forget, it's going to be at 1. I got to remind myself at 1 p.m. It's coming out so I can see it in New York. I got to remind myself. Peace.